Teacher, you can commence with your class.
All right. Good morning, grade 10s. Welcome to Life Orientation. I am your teacher, Mr. Masumbuka. Welcome back to all the learners that are joining us again, and a very warm welcome to all the learners that are joining us for the very, very first time. My name is Sibusiso Masumbuka, and like I said, I will be your teacher for Life Orientation, grade 10. So, yesterday we started off with the chapter, the democracy as well as human rights, and we looked at a couple of key words and definitions, and we looked at particularly at diversity discriminations as well as the human rights violations. Remember, grade 10s, we said that diversity means being different. It refers to difference or variety about aspects of being human, such as our cultures. We all come from different cultures, and part of cultures is that you may be from a particular culture, but because of the environment that you're in, you may also fall part of a different subculture. All right, and then we're also different based on our religion as well as belief system, our races, languages that we speak. In South Africa, we are fortunate to have 11 official languages, but we also know that we also have other people from other countries who come and teach us their languages as well. We also diverse with regards to our gender and sexuality, our age, health status, the place of birth, such as Africa or China, wherever you come from, or wherever you may be from, as well as where we stay. And then we also said that discrimination means to treat people unfairly and differently. And remember, we said that, guys, discrimination is actually not a good thing. It's so important that we make sure that we treat people equally and fairly at all times, that we do not discriminate. Some of the examples of how people can be discriminated is not only according to their diversity or the diverse nature, for example, your culture or religion or race. Some people can also be discriminated against because of their health status, because of maybe somebody may have TB or HIV or living with HIV. You may also be discriminated against because of how old you are or living with albinism, as well as belonging to a different cultural group. And then we also looked at human rights and violations. And we said that human rights are rules that help everybody live together in peace, safety, as well as happiness. And remember, yesterday we went through, I told you guys about our lovely constitution that we have here in South Africa. We said that the constitution, and that we also live in a democracy in South Africa. And remember what a democracy is. Democracy means that everybody in South Africa has a voice and can choose who can govern them. And how we can choose who can govern us is through elections and voting for people. You guys are too young for now to vote for a political party on that level. But remember, I also said that even in your own schools, democracy is exercised when you guys are electing RCLs, which is the Representative Council of Learners. And then we also looked at some of the human right violations. And yesterday we particularly looked at human trafficking. And we said that human trafficking is the global illegal transporting of people across international and local borders. We said that to be trafficked means to be taken against your will or tricked into going into with traffickers or criminals who then sell you. You may be bought, sold, and transported into slavery for sexual or exploitation, as well as forced marriage, to work in shops or factories for no pay, to beg in order for you to provide for your money for your capturers, as well as to harvest or sell your organs such as kidneys, as well as to work in farms or to do domestic work. So we looked at human trafficking yesterday. Now I want to ask you guys, um, why do you guys think that human trafficking is increasing in our country? I would like to hear from you guys in the chat box. Let me know why you think human trafficking is so prevalent in this day and age in our countries now. Of course, now it may be a little difficult for people to be trafficked in this day and moment, because obviously we all know that our borders are closed because due to COVID-19. But I want to find out from you again, why do you think human trafficking is increasing? Why do you think it's so prevalent right now in society? All right, and then with that said, while I'm waiting for your for your responses. I also gave you a number of if you know of anyone that has been trafficked, or if you think you're going to be tricked into being human trafficked. We said that the number is 0800 555 999. I'm going to repeat that number: 0800 555 999. And that is a toll-free number. And you guys can report all different types of um, human trafficking that is happening in your area or that you might know of. All right. Zelna says social media. All right. All right. I'm going to repeat that number. If you know of anyone of you suspect any instances of human trafficking, the number to dial, it's a toll-free number, which means that it is free from a landline. It is 0800 555 999. All right. Um, Another question that came in on my private message, it says here, I think the reason because human trafficking happens to make money. Absolutely. People are used to make money in all different forms. And then moving on, yesterday we also looked at our Bill of Rights as well as the other human rights instruments. And we said that human rights, again, are rules. And we said that in our Constitution, in our Chapter 2, we have then the Bill of Rights. And we said that our rights are based on dignity, democracy, equality, and freedom. All right, guys? And and our Bill of Rights throughout the year or throughout the years makes reference and makes sure that we behave properly and legally and correctly, that we get the benefits of our own rights, that we protect the rights of others, and never violate the rights of other people as well. So you guys must understand, and remember what I said to you guys yesterday. Um, it is so important for you to learn and know your rights so that you know how you can protect yourself and protect the people that are around you. If you're not going to know your rights, then you will never know when your rights are being violated. And remember what I said, the Constitution is the highest law in the country, and it overrides all the rules and all the laws that may come up. And all our school code of conduct, the law, I'm sorry, the job laws that we have, the labor laws that we have, they all fall under the Constitution, and they have to be abide by the Constitution. And guys, if you didn't know, just after this lockdown has been lifted, I want you guys, when you get a chance, to go and visit the Constitutional Hill. It's a huge heritage site where people can go and visit, and you guys can check out all the different things. And there's also you'll also be exposed to the female jail and the male jail, because it used to be a jail where people were imprisoned during the apartheid regime. It's a really, really awesome site, especially for you guys who are realistic learners who learn by going on field trip. I found this particular trip to be very interesting when I was in grade 11, and I got the opportunity to go to the Constitutional Hill. All right, and obviously at the Constitutional Hill, there's also the Constitutional Court, where all the judges sit in a panel. All right, Karen says people are tricked easily. Absolutely, guys. So you guys need to make sure that you are not human trafficked and that you report any forms of human trafficking. And now that we are actually on human trafficking, can you please tell me how do you think you can protect yourself from human trafficking? How do you guys think that you can protect yourself from human trafficking? All right, let me know in the chat box. It will be very interesting for you to let me know and to read some of your responses. Let me know how you can protect yourself from human trafficking. I know you guys said you guys can be trafficked through social media, but now I want to find out how you think you can protect yourself from human trafficking. All right. Zalna says not walk alone when you walk home. Absolutely. Nice one. And obviously, guys, we need to exercise a very private life and not expose ourselves on social media by putting our phone numbers and our addresses where people can have an easy access to us. We need to be able to use social media in a way that it will be beneficial to us and not to the detriment of our safety. Um, all right. Um, by not trusting anyone, do not trust anyone. All right, do not meet or give personal information to strangers. Absolutely. Karen says, don't trust people that you don't know. Absolutely. Do not walk at dangerous times of the day. Absolutely. Walking at night. to trust only the people you love, trust, and learn how to defend yourselves. Look how people talk to you and their body language. Absolutely, ADW. That is an absolutely amazing answer. Millicent says, do not accept anything from strangers. Nice one. Deboho says, no to Canadians when you are on the move. Absolutely. Our cell phones also give us leverage of being able to share our location with people and letting them know. Even when you are in an Uber or a Bolt Taxify, you can also let your parents know and share your ETA, which is your location and your whereabouts of where you are. I know I'm an adult I'm late in my 20s, but my friends also know where I am all the time because it's so important, guys. And we can be tricked in many different ways. Um, Zianda says by being aware of everything and everyone around me, absolutely. Klayin, sorry if I butcher your name, says don't trust anyone, even if it's your family. Interesting. Kieran says make sure that you are with your guardian or someone that you know or that your parents know. Absolutely correct. Thank you so much for your lovely responses, guys. All right. Um, so today, at the end of the lesson, we're going to learn, or you're going to know about the different discriminating behaviors and human rights violations. So we're going to look further than human trafficking, guys. And then we're also going to look at how we can challenge prejudice and discrimination. All right, guys. Um, Cool. So now let's look at the different types of discriminating behavior and human rights violations. We've got xenophobia, we've got stigma, we've got bias, racism, gender stereotyping are examples of the different types of discriminating behavior. And guys, having lived in South Africa for so many years, um, and still staying with the idea of that we want to be patriots for our country, but unfortunately the society that we live in is also can also be very dark, and we're exposed to all these different human rights violations, and we all have seen instances of xenophobia, whether in our society in a large spectrum where we've had xenophobic attacks in South Africa. We've seen instances of stigma. We're exposed to it, even in our own schools. Just because somebody may have HIV or AIDS, or you know of somebody that has HIV and AIDS, those people carry that stigma around them, and people don't necessarily want to be around them. And that's the reason why we're learning here today, is to not to stigmatize people, to not be biased, to not exercise racism, and to not use any form of gender stereotyping. Because at the end of the day, remember what I said to you guys, that our Constitution fights for dignity, peace, unity, and treating everybody equally. So remember those values, guys. Very, very important values to live by. All right. Thank you so much again for your responses. All right, let's look at these types of discriminating behaviors as well as defining them. All right, and if you guys know of any, and I know this is quite a controversial topic, and I want us to be very sensitive at the very least of what we say on the chat box. But I would like to read. Tell me of some of the xenophobic attacks or racism attacks that you have experienced in your own society. But also, again, be cognizant. Let's use this as a learning space and not just to fight things that we don't have control over. Or to rather, if we want to be activists, use the right platforms to sort of do that. Xenophobia says this is the dislike or the prejudice against people from other countries. That is what xenophobia is. And I remember growing up in South Africa, I've been exposed as a young child, as a young boy, to xenophobic attacks, and it really isn't good. And xenophobia is a fear. It's a fear. That's what it is. More than it just being a dislike, it's a fear of people that come from different countries. And it's so important for us to accept people from different countries so that when we also go and visit other countries, that we're also welcomed. And yeah, so we all know that some of the instances of xenophobic attacks is because South Africans may feel threatened because of their jobs. They think that foreign people are here to steal their jobs. So it's so important for us to be learned and to also educate the people that are around us and in our societies as well. Let's look at stigma. Stigma is a mark of disgrace associated with a particular circumstance, quality, or person. The stigma here's an example. It says the stigma of having gone to prison will always be with me. So once somebody has rehabilitated from prison and they come back into society, it becomes very difficult for them to sort of assimilate themselves in society without people actually judging them and thinking that they would actually do the criminal offense again. So it's so important. All right, and then racism, very prevalent also in our society, even to this day and age. It says here, racism is the prejudice or the discrimination directed against a person or people on the basis of their membership to a particular racial group or ethnic group, typically one that is a minority or marginalized. All right, so we all know that we're exposed to different types of racism. And I like how they talk about discrimination against an ethnic group. I want to teach you of a word. It's called ethnocentrism that I learned when I did anthropology in university. And ethnocentrism is when you think that your own culture or your own ethnicity is better than other people. That's what ethnocentrism is. All right, and then let's have a look at gender stereotypes. A man might say that women are to combat, meant for combat, sorry, while a woman might say that men do nothing but watch sports. Such expressions represent gender stereotypes, which are overgeneralizations about the characteristics of an entire group based on gender. So when we spoke about gender participation in sports. We spoke about these things and we spoke about all the different types of discriminations that happen there. So it is so important for us that in essence of us treating people equally, that we don't form stereotypes. All right. Then I want to teach you of two different things. All right. And these are the different types of discrimination. All right. So there's what we call fair and unfair discrimination. And I want you to listen very carefully because if you don't understand both or you aren't able to differentiate between the two, you might confuse the two. So fair discrimination is what we call good discrimination in layman terms. It says here in some cases discrimination is allowed to be fair. For example, for affirmative action, and I'll explain to you what affirmative action is. Affirmative action is fair because it is a way to make up for the inequalities of past apartheid regime, where jobs were kept for some races only. In the same way, BEE is fair because in the past, the majority of people were allowed to own companies or invest in money. All right, invest money. So what affirmative action is that it comes with the Employment Equity Act, which is also in our constitution, that tries to redress the past economic inequalities. Yesterday I told you about people who are previously disadvantaged as well as people who are historically disadvantaged. And I said that to you, that people who are historically disadvantaged or previously disadvantaged are then people, black people, women, disabled people. Those people fall under that category, and so do colored and Indian people as well. Those people were not afforded to a proper education or proper jobs, were not allowed to go and work as part of the apartheid regime. So what affirmative action says is that they are giving opportunities to people who are previously disadvantaged, an opportunity to sort of catch up with the historical defects that they might have gone through. For example, if you're black, for example, when you go for a job interview, some job specs will actually say that we're looking for a black person or we're looking for a female who is disabled. And also, another form of affirmative action, a lot of a particular mobile network has a take a girl child to work day where they're trying to embrace femininity and women and trying to put forth the women species as we know that they were previously disadvantaged. And then unfair discrimination is something that we need to work against and we need to fight against. Unfair discrimination goes against the Constitution. All people are equal and must be treated equally. Very, very important for us to remember. And then I want us to look at all the other different types of discrimination. We've got disability discrimination. This is when you're treated badly because of your disability. And I told you yesterday that the Constitution and the New South African law tries to be inclusive as much as possible. But think about it. We still see a lot of people being excluded out of a lot of things. Think of your school structure. Think of your school environment. Some of you may have stairs and different floors. Now think of yourself. If you had to follow a flight of stairs, God forbid, and you break your spine and you have to go on a wheelchair, will your school environment be able to accommodate you? Think of the bus systems. Do the buses that you go on accommodate disabled people? Think of the signs that you guys see. You guys, we're so privileged. We can see certain things, unlike people who are differently able. And you guys can see the exit fine. You can see, the exit sign. You can see where the fire extinguisher is. Now think of somebody who is unable to see. Do you think that our society, do you think that the structures, the infrastructures that we see in society, the bridges, the roads, are they accommodating? And as well as the buildings that we see, are they accommodating to people who are differently abled, also known as disabled people? So let's also think of that as well. All right, and I would like for you to share with you. I'd like for you to share with me some of your thoughts about um, this people who are living with disabilities and how they are being structurally discriminated, even when we don't know so. All right, and then gender discrimination is to treat people unfairly and differently because they are male or female. And then racial discrimination is the discrimination based on a person's race, where one race believes it is better than the other. And then we also get religious discrimination. This discrimination is based on a person's religion or religious beliefs. All right, and then we get also sexual orientation discrimination. For example, homophobia. We see this all the time where people have homophobic slurs against people who are gay and lesbian and so forth. It says here, um, homophobia is which is prejudice against people who have same-sex relationships. And then let's look at stigmatization. This is a harmful attitude and the abuse towards others based on misinformation. Guys, most of these discrimination, these forms of discrimination and human rights violation are based on misinformation. All right, let's look at workplace discrimination. And you guys, one day you're gonna get into the workplace one day, and some people may discriminate you because of how young you are, or because of how skilled you are, or how you might lack skills. So workplace discrimination is in hiring. Could also happen in hiring. It says here in promotion, in work assignment, in termination, and compensation. Compensation is you being paid, as well as harassment. So we also get discriminated against in our workplace. But there's obviously the basic conditions of employment act that make sure that we are employed, that our employers treat us properly at work. There's also the Employment Equity Act that protects workers and making sure that workers are treated equally at work, as well as we also have the Labor Relations Act in our constitution that makes sure that employers and employees treat each other well, and that the work environment is a safe one as well. And then we had a look at xenophobia earlier on, and then there's biasness as well as a form of as a type of discrimination. And bias is the influence of in an unfair way to have a preference for or to favor a group of people or an idea, not based on the fact of fairness to show favoritism. Guys, please give me some examples. You guys are a little quiet today. Please give me examples of gender discrimination that you might have experienced, disability discrimination, racial discrimination, religious discrimination, sexual orientation discrimination, workplace discrimination, xenophobia, bias. And if you're scared to maybe say it on the chat box, you can also message me privately. All right. It's so important for us to understand these things, because some people have actually never been exposed to to certain discrimination. For example, I, for one, as an able person, have never been um, um, exposed to a disability discrimination. I've also never been exposed to gender discrimination because I'm a male, and we all know that in patriarchal societies, men are put forth in everything. So tell me of some of the discrimination that you might have gone through. All right. Um, all right. ADW and my private message says, is sexual orientation almost like, for example, when two guys loving each other or two women loving each other? Absolutely. So sexual orientation is who you prefer to engage with sexually, who you are attracted to. All right. That is what sexual orientation is. Tlailani, Klayin says, girls don't play soccer. It happens to me, absolutely. But we're seeing that there's a lot of initiatives and NGOs that try and promote and fight for these things. This is what we call social entrepreneurship as well. Thank you so much for your responses. Please keep them coming, guys. All right, let's move along. I want us to look at, so it's here we're looking at the nature, the source, and the impacts of the discrimination. So we're looking at the impact, all right? So let's look at oppression, all right? We've looked at bias, we've looked at xenophobia, we've looked at racism, and we looked at stigma. Let's look at oppression. Oppression means to be kept down by unjust use of force or authority, or even power as well. All right. So we all know that, for example, women were oppressed during the apartheid regime. Disabled people were oppressed during the apartheid regime. Black people were oppressed during the apartheid regime. And guys, let's also remember that even in the apartheid regime, and learning and understanding that not every white person was racist as well. So it's so important for us to remember that and to educate ourselves as to understand that this was a sort of government that we lived in. All right. Another learner says here, boys don't wear pink. Absolutely. That's another form of stereotype, a gender stereotype that we're exposed to on a daily basis as well. All right. Cool. Let's look at the challenge. Let's look at how we can challenge prejudice and discrimination. All right. So in South Africa, there are different initiatives as well as campaigns that we know of and protection agencies that we discussed yesterday that address human rights violations. You know, we have the 16 days of activism against women and child abuse campaign, and this challenges South Africans to declare an end to violence against women and children for 16 days and to make this peace permanent. Guys, I know that we only said we have 16 days of activism, but it's so important for us to make sure that children and women's rights are protected at all times. All right. Okay, guys, it's so important for us to go through all of that. I mean, to understand that. And you know, you guys know Miss Universe, who's also was Miss South Africa, Zuzibini Tunzi. She is an activist of gender-based violence, and it all falls part of the 16 days of activism. They all form part of the same sort of idea behind protecting women and children. All right. Another initiative that takes place is Treatment Action Campaign, which is also known as TAC. It is a large human rights advocacy organization. It provides people living with HIV and AIDS, their families and caregivers with accurate information about life-saving medicines as well as treatments. All right. And then we also have the South African Human Rights Commission. Guys, if you know of anyone's human rights that are being violated, or you're not too sure, or you need further explanation, I think it would be a great idea for you to visit or contact the South African Human Rights Commission, as it will clarify certain rights for you and also fight for your rights as well. It is a national institution established to support the constitutional democracy. It promotes and protects them and monitors human rights for each and everyone. All right. I'm going to read some of the responses that you guys got there based on the human rights violations as well as gender stereotypes. Garabo says men are thought to be a breadwinner all the time, always. All right, interesting there. Interesting response there. Another learner says women are not allowed to do men's jobs. Absolutely. There's no such thing again as men's job. But again, society likes to put us in such social constructs, obviously. And then Carol says, in sports, women get paid extremely less just because they are women and they do not deserve to be paid because women don't have the same strength as men. Absolutely. And you know, another reason why women's sports is not actually why they do not earn as much as men is because a lot of sponsors do not sponsor a women's sports. So, you know, sometimes a lot of the money that the men earn in sports is because of the sponsorships that they get. And also, and how we can combat this and make sure that women are empowered in sports is by watching sports and by embracing women and also encouraging yourselves, if you're a girl, to take part in sports and to challenge yourself as well. All right. Karen also says men are not allowed to play netball, girls are not allowed to play rugby. But we've seen, absolutely, but we've seen that there are people who there are males who play netball, and there's also women who play rugby as well. All right, let's look at other initiatives and campaigns. We've got the equality courts. Um, these are courts designed to deal with matters covered by the Promotion of Equality and Prevention of Unfair Discrimination Act of the year 2000. They deal with matters pertaining unfair discrimination, publication of information that unfairly discriminates, harassment, and hate speech. So obviously, Equality Courts also deals with all the stuff that is put up on the media and all the stuff that newspapers and um, all these virtual news reporting agencies they make sure that people's rights are not violated there. All right. Okay. And then I see we have 15 minutes left. All right. Let's look at the Commission of Gender Equality. Uh, this particular campaign and initiative advances, promotes, and protects gender equality in South Africa. It aims to contribute to creating a society free from gender oppression and all forms of equality. And an equal education is a movement of learners, parents, teachers, and community members working for quality and equality in South Africa with regards to education. And we also have something what is called Heartlines, which encourages people of goodwill to have courage to do good. All right. Now let's have a look at um, earlier on I spoke to you about that people who are living with HIV and AIDS may be stigmatized in society. Um, the impacts of discrimination on people of discrimination on people with HIV and AIDS. People who are living with HIV and AIDS or with TB are sometimes stigmatized. They are discriminated against and branded. This is unfair and unconstitutional. The people who discriminate are usually afraid and ignorant of the fact of HIV. They do not know how HIV can be passed on. Discrimination is hurtful and can do harm to anybody, to everybody that is being discriminated against. People living with HIV and AIDS may be scared to go for treatment and to tell others about their illnesses. So, do you see the impact that discrimination, that we as people who might discriminate against people with HIV and AIDS, people might even be afraid to seek for help and for treatment. This can lead to HIV and AIDS and secondary infections, as TB spreading much more because people are not getting proper treatment. So, people may be afraid, and that is why a lot of people are even afraid to test to check their status, the HIV status. It's because we stigmatize and we make it seem like HIV is the end of, when you have HIV and AIDS, it is the end of the world. We know of people, and there's stats and show that that you can live longer as long as you eat healthily and look after your body and take your treatment as much as possible. It's also so important that we ourselves do not discriminate against people with HIV, and that we support them. You might have people. Remember, as a country, we are all of us are affected by HIV. So when I mean by affected is that we may know people around us, we may work with people around us who may have HIV, and it's so important for us to always support them. All right. The last chapter, the last unit basically focuses on um, on leadership. So just to give you a bit of a heads up, so I don't know if you guys have seen Lead SA, but Lead SA is an initiative that aims to remind us that it is our power to change ourselves and our country. So important for us to remember that. It is our power, great tens, to change ourselves and our country, and that we all have the ability to lead. And how you can become a leader, guys, is to stand up for what is right, to stand up for corruption, and do not bribe others or take bribes as well. Some of you guys will get into careers such as law or into the police force. It's so important for you to not take bribes and to be ethical in your practice as well. All right. Reading a lot of your comments there. Thank you so much. And then another way on how you can become a leader in society and fighting against human rights violation is to stand up for morality and report crime, any form of crime that you see. All right. Lately, we've been hearing on social media as well as on news that a lot of women and children are being abused, especially now that we're in lockdown and people are stuck with their families. If you hear or are suspicious of any acts of violence from your neighbor, please report it as well to the police as well. All right. And then another way in which you can become a leader in fighting for human rights is to stand up for your community. Get to know your neighbors. Another bullet point says to stand up for free speech, allow people to be able to express themselves. But remember, with freedom of expression comes the responsibility to make sure that you do not violate other people's rights as well, and to also respect the environment. Another point says to stand up for education. So important, guys. Education is the key to success. Education is so important. It is so important for us to educate ourselves. And guys, I know that schools or schooling perpetuate education to only take place only in schools. But education can take form in any different ways. For example, you might be Muslim and you might go to Hifz. That is a form of education because it teaches you religious and morals and good principles about your religion. You might go to initiation school as a Xhosa boy, as a rite of passage. That is a form of education because it teaches you values and things about your culture and how to treat people in society. So education is not only perpetuated to only happen in school. So you guys need to understand that if you want to become a leader, you need to stand up for education and all forms of education, and also go to school and to work very hard. All right, to help instead of harming, and to acknowledge goodness. And then, all right, yeah, I put here a little picture of um, being a leader, the difference between leadership and authority. A leader, remember guys, is people orientated. And people who are managers are people who are task orientated. Leaders are people who adhere to their people, they lead people, um, and they also get their hands dirty and make sure that they also look out for the well-being of the people that they are leading as well. So we also, if you know, when you're given a leadership opportunity in a school, take it up. Be a part of the RCL community in your own school as well. All right, guys. Reading just some of your responses here. Men and women are equal. We both have same qualities. Women have the right to live their lives and not just staying at home. Absolutely, yes. Um, Duduzila, I think, also says that also people who have cancer are also discriminated against. Absolutely. I mean, look at it now. A lot of health workers, essential workers, the people that are helping us in hospitals, are being stigmatized currently in in society. You know, because people know, or people in society know that these people work or help people who are infected by the COVID-19 virus. Um, Health workers are stigmatized, and people sort of want to stay away from them because they think that they might have it, even though the health workers are obviously protecting themselves during this COVID-19 pandemic that we're going through. So absolutely, it's so important for us. And you know, the only way we can get away from stigma and xenophobia and homophobia and all these different types of human rights violation is by educating ourselves. And hence, we teach you about the diversity. And you know, the reason why we teach you about diversity is to not only um, know it, it is also to understand. And when you understand a different culture or religion or subculture, you are then able to exercise the respect. All right. You don't. It's not about accepting it. It's about understanding why they do certain things in certain religions or cultures, or why people are behaving in certain ways. It is for us to understand and then exercise respect unto others, guys. It's so important for us to remember that, and making sure that human rights, people's human rights, are not violated. All right. And then I've got a bit of a challenge for you guys. And before I show you the challenge, I want to show you actually, guys. I told you that I'm going to exercise and do some PT, some physical education. So I'm going to ask you guys. You know, we're sitting at home, we're learning on STEM lockdown digital school. I'm going to give you a challenge that, um, work out, do a home workout, exercise, make sure that you stay healthy, you stay fit. There's a whole lot of benefits to us exercising, and it's so important for us to exercise because it is good for our bodies. It is good for us to keep fit because it helps us with studying as well, guys, and to keeping focus. We know we can build muscular strength, we can build endurance when we exercise, and obviously to also keep in shape as well. All right. Um, all right, so I'm quickly going to play you this little clip. It's quite short. It's about 18 seconds, but I did a bit of a exercise. I just wanted to show you that I was doing this. All right, guys. I'm gonna play it again. This is just me exercising. All right. So I'm giving you a challenge, guys. If I can do it, and I can stay fit during this time, look, I don't even need gym equipment. You guys can use recyclable goods, sort of create weights and all that stuff. But guys, I'm urging all of you grade 10s to remain fit. And here's your physical education challenge for today. I'm asking you to do these exercises. Try as hard as possible to do as many of these and try. You know, the motion here is to start. Try something out, do them. Some of you know some of these exercises. These are mostly arm exercises. Yeah, try it out, repeat it. You can do it for the rest of the week. Try it out. It won't take you long. It won't even take you an hour. But it's so important for us to exercise because it stimulates our brain and we're able to work properly and effectively as well. All right. Then I wanna, the takeaway message that I want you to get from this particular lesson is two quotes that are very dear to my heart. It says here, the first one is by Ronald. It says here, the greatest leader is not necessarily the one who does the greatest things. He is the one that gets the people to do the greatest things. So you getting into society, talking to your friends, changing the perspective about discrimination and them not discriminating against other people. That is where it starts, guys. That's where true leadership starts. And then another favorite quote of mine by Nelson Mandela. It says here, no one is born hating another person because of the color of their skin or because of his background or his religion. People must learn to hate, and if they learn to hate, they can be taught to love. For love comes more naturally to the human heart than its opposite, which is then obviously hate. Guys, thank you so much for tuning into my channel today. I've got another quote here by Desmond Tutu. It says, differences. Remember we spoke about diversity and we said that diversity is differences. Differences are not intended to separate us. All right? They're not intended to separate or to alienate us. We are we are different precisely in order to realize our need for one another. I'm going to say that again, guys, and I want that to sink in. Differences are not intended to separate or to alienate. We are different precisely in order to realize our need for one another. And I think that is such a beautiful quote there by Arch Desmond Tutu. All right, guys, please join me again tomorrow at 9 a.m. Tomorrow we're going to be looking at study skills. We're done with chapter 5 and we're going to be looking at study skills. I've got some really interesting study skills that you guys can pick up. So I want you to also think, what are some of the study methods and the study skills that you use? What do you put in when you study for your tests and exams? And also tell me what are some of the faults or the mistakes that you make? Are you anxious before a test? Are you anxious before a test? Are you also anxious after a test? So the lessons that I'm going to be giving you tomorrow are going to be able to help you to focus better. How do you become attentive in class and to concentrate? What are the foods that are needed in order for you to stay focused in class? All right, so that is what we're going to be talking about tomorrow. Again, guys, if you want to get a hold of us, guys, please tweet us. Please Instagram. Let us know. And please tag me as well. My Instagram handle is ZBU_M. Please tag African Teen Geeks. Let everybody know about this amazing platform. You guys can tag the Department of Basic Education as well. Tell them how you're learning. Share your experiences. Tell them how you're finding the lessons here on STEM Lockdown Digital School. And then you guys can also use the hashtag STEM Champions Lockdown eSchool Cecil Foundation. And then my email address then is sibusisomasumbuka at ymail.com. If you have any queries, please let me know, and then I will be able to then uh, answer them on my emails. So guys, it's so important for you to take part in lessons and to engage with the content. And remember, guys, I'm here for you. All right? Remember that. And remember that if you have any questions or you have any worries or concerns about the content, let me know and let's see how we can work that one through. My Google Classroom code is C2KA. I see I've got a question there. It is C2KA3IC. I'm going to repeat that. My Google Classroom code is C2KA3IC. Guys, once again, thank you so much for joining me today. You guys are really awesome. I hope to see you guys tomorrow, and I hope you guys are ready, and we'll do those PT challenges that I asked you to do. Thank you so much. Take care, and have a lovely Thursday. Bye.